full implant arch rehabilitation. Okay? This full implant arch protocol is something that I believe is one of the things in dentistry that was most impacted by digital. It's really, it's a must. If you do full implant arches, if your surgeon does it, if you restore, or if you do the surgical part of the restorative part, pay attention to this because it's really a beautiful workflow. Okay? I have a couple of cases that I want to share with you. Before I jump into the cases with the guides, I want to share with you a case that we did this week to show you the power of treatment planning. Look how powerful 3D technology is to help us make better decisions to our patients. So you have a patient with a full upper removable denture, like many others, nothing special there. The patient, the doctor scans the patient, scans the ridge, scans I'm going to show the workflow, scans the denture, sends all the information. We overlap, we do the smile design the best we can, like always. It looks good in the face. We are happy. And probably, if we didn't care about proper planning, we would just send this back to the dentist. But I really want to share you what is behind 3D planning. What is behind our planning center? Because this is passion for excellence. And I hope you're going to get emotional with this case the same way I did. Patients get emotional with the motivational mock-up. I get emotional with excellence in decision making. So we have the ideal design. We overlap to the bone. Now the patient has a lot of vertical bone there. So immediately we say, if this is the smile design for this patient, look only on the molar. Look how much bone we need to remove. We need to remove this bone and then even more to have the head of the implant above the molar to give space to the emergence profile, right? So we definitely see a problem there. So what can we do? We can suggest the doctor, we can show here the problem. And we can even, so what we do, we place the implant. We place the implant on the simulation just to teach the doctor about the limitation. And the implant goes way up, right? We need to graft, sinus slip. We need to generate a lot of bone here to keep this design the way it is. So Francis thinks about the other option. Let's try to simplify. If I bring the design down, means I need to trim less bone. I can bring the implant down. Let's try to place this design down to allow an emergence profile, the head of the implant and the whole implant in the bone. So you see here, he first only brought the right side down. From the frontal view, you can see that from canine back, he brought the design down. So, of course, as you bring the design down, now there's more space for the implant. It's much better, more simple surgery. We don't need to do the grafting anymore. We can fit the implant and the emergence profile. So the question is, does this longer design fits the face? So you see here, the before is a green, the after is white, and you can see in the comparison how much we are bringing the design down. We are not only bringing the design down, but we are making the smile curve a little bit more flat to bring the posteriors even more down and see if this design is okay with his face. So we go back to his face and it looks okay. It looks fine. Of course, at this point, what can we do here? If you're not sure about this design, what can we do here? We can print this in 1 minute and we can do a mock-up over his old denture. How cool is that? You do a mock-up over his old denture and you check with the patient if it looks good enough. Okay? If it looks good enough, we can then finish the implant planning, a much better implant planning with this new design. Now, the story doesn't end here because we got a vertical dimension from the doctor, correct? We had the occlusion going there. Perfect. We brought the whole upper down. So what we have now, the lower is going inside the upper. So what we need to do, we need to bring the lowers down to keep the vertical dimension, to keep the occlusion. So you see how we are bringing the lowers down. And then we have the new upper-lower occlusion. But what is the problem now? We lowered the lower design, but we didn't change the vertical dimension because that was the doctor who gave us. So when we bring this new lower design to the lower arch, what happens with the teeth? Are sticking out the design. Follow me? So now, what we have a problem here, we need to not only extract these teeth, but we're going to have to cut a lot of the bone on the lower. Unless we do what? Open the vertical dimension. So what we do, we take this file into the digital articulator and we open a little bit the vertical dimension. Until where? How much? Until it fits the wax up. How cool is that? So the wax up is here. The lower teeth are sticking out. You put the design and the models on the virtual articulator and you start opening the bite on the virtual articulator until the lower fits into the wax up. And until the bone levels, because the bone is also coming down, until you level the bone level where you think is appropriate to place the implants, emergence profile, good, without having to trim too much the bone. Does that make sense? So we opened the vertical right here, and you see now that the teeth are better related to the design. Bone reduction is less. Implant head position is good, and we can plan the lower implant surgery as well. So now you have the new upper and lower, still facially driven, a little bit longer than we planned initially, preserving much more bone, simplifying the surgery. Now, let me ask you something. How could you forecast all these things that I just shared with you in the last 3 minutes without 3D technology? Hard, huh? To visualize, to sequence, to compare, to plan, to design, to integrate the surgery, biology, function, and aesthetics all together and be able to have a clear vision. And once you go to the surgery, you know exactly what is going to happen and why it's going to happen, what is going to happen. Now, not only that, because as dentists, as a dentist, I get really excited about what I'm seeing here. We do this every day. We see opinions changing because of this technology. We see plans being improved because of this technology. So I get emotional about this. I get excited about this. But what if you can explain this to your patient to make it even more powerful? What if you can make a summary of the last 5 minutes that I just explained to you? You change the words for patients and you explain in 30 seconds the power of this technology and how lucky the patient is for going to a dentist that uses that technology. Can you create a story out of this? Can you make the patient say, wow, that's cool? Can you make the patient even more loyal to you? Can you understand and imagine this patient going to another dentist and say, do you use this? And the doctor's like, use what? Forget about it. I'm going back to my great dentist. So these examples for me are the best examples of why we do what we do and the impact in people's life of what we do with these solutions.